Okay, let's see. Good? You rolling? Where? There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? After watching that. Which, yes, I should mention, like, right away, we are, not reacting. We're gonna do some analysis, some scrubby sliding Q&A kind of Inspector Gadgety stuff, right? That's what we doing today. So I kind of expect you to have already seen everything. Otherwise, this is going to be the most uncomfortable experience because I'm going to be jumping back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Let me just really quick. Hold up. I need to swap one thing really quick. There we go. That's better. That's better. That's better. That's better. Well then. Yeah, guys, if you haven't watched at least the trailer, I recommend you at least go watch the trailer. It's 4 minutes, or maybe we can watch it now. I don't know. Okay, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll watch the whole thing through one time at the low quality of my stream. And then we'll go. Yeah? Sound good? Sound good? Sound good? All right, you ready? We're just going to watch the trailer, not the whole special program. So it's going to be like, this is the special program. Hold up. I'm in the wrong tab. What else is new? Okay. We're just going to watch the trailer. 4 minutes.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, the Hydro Archon to be punished via the death sentence.
You and I both know that there may be issues with the Primordial Sea.
Everyone on the street who happened to be close to the water didn't have a chance to escape. As the water levels rose, they suddenly disappeared.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful?
Oh, is the volume too low? Sorry. Hold on.
Just trust in me, your Archon. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself to or not. The show begins! Ah. Shower me with praise! Let my name echo
Sorry, that was
song!
funny. Everyone's complaining the volume being too low.
What's the news?
I'm not gonna full screen. You guys can watch it on your own if you want.
Breaking news!
I have already seen the
No,
trailer.
you're
I've
not a
watched
local,
everything.
but I'd
I'm
avoid
not
getting
talking,
too
that's why you
close to
can't
any
hear me.
water that looks strange all the same. There's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean.
The
Like
prophecy.
I said, we're watching the whole thing
Yes.
first.
What has been prophesized will be fulfilled.
I, Marina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning
Do
of
not resist.
justice!
This judgment is fair and just. What is the meaning you would call
You have never been as superficial as you have presented yourself to be.
No more excuses!
Then why should we acknowledge it?
Fusolo, why did you deceive us?
Applaud and rejoice!
Wait just a moment. This isn't right!
The trial of the Hydro Archon!
Seem to remember
the
that.
floor will now
This
begin!
trial is...
I now understand the true purpose behind this position. You are a devious one, Fusalo.
Everyone's dead. Papa, what should I do?
The prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
All will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic trial. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
All right. So, I'm gonna turn this down again. There's quite a bit to unpack. I guess we'll work backwards a little bit. Mostly because I think probably the most hype everyone has been over this trailer has to do with this, right? Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of her design right now either. Not because it's bad. I think it's a good design. It's just I am definitely not the target demographic for it, that's all. I wonder how many people think that. Hold on. I'm trying to get there. It is. There was a couple of things I wanted to point out about her. Yeah, I know. She looks like she's a Honkai character. I know. Like it's I think a lot of it isn't like the back design. The back design I actually quite like. But you can see the front design. She's all like leather straps and almost nothing in the front. So I'm not too keen on that aspect, but I really like the fact that her arms are not normal. Right? Because like I like her butterfly motifs. Those are really cool. Considering she's like an abyssal traveler, I guess. We'll call her an abyssal traveler. It kind of feels like she walks a line between life and death and all that kind of stuff. So I like that. That's really cool. But something I think is very interesting, and I don't know if you can see this because the YouTube bar is in front of it, which is annoying. But you can kind of see on her arms, they almost have that same polygon look as the whale's tail. And it starts with the like light pale blue and then goes off into the pinkish purpley color. And so I'm looking at her arms being like, are her arms made entirely of the primordial water? Because like, holy cow, that's really cool. I could look up an image. I mean, yeah, that's true. I think the wiki actually already uploaded this or updated this, sorry. Yeah, they did. Yeah, okay. So you can see it a little bit better here. This was a shot I wanted anyway. Yeah, I've seen a couple people say that she might be the whale. I wonder that myself in a way because like you can see right here, this fin, that is part of her body, like Melusine style, you know? So I think her connections to the whale, or at least connections to whatever kind of beast the whale is, are pretty clear. Like she's got some interesting tattoos here on her skin. You can see her other arm over here, same thing. She also has, and this shot doesn't show it. It doesn't show it well. But let's turn her around a little bit. She also has a few stripes of hair here. Whoops. That when it's moving, which I'm not going to do right now, same thing, right? Same thing. This glows these parts of her hair. So I'm not thoroughly convinced she's human, and if she is, she's gone through some kind of something or other, you know? Shares a lot in common with the unknown god. Yeah, she does. Even down to the arms. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the unknown god has red and black cubicle corrupted looking arms and Skirk doesn't, but that parallel is undeniable. I think that's quite interesting. I do wonder if she's a bishop in human form again. One other thing I kind of want to point out, we need to talk a little bit about Child here. Child likers rejoice. He's gonna get so much lore. I'm gonna end up with so many friggin' videos on child by the end of this chapter. It's gonna be ridiculous. Yes, the problem child. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. I like that. How do we know she's Skirk already? Because on Japanese Twitter, they announced her name and voice actor. So we got confirmation. Yeah. I think this is cool because this is the same symbol that we see with in the We Will Be Reunited quest when the Abyss Herald opens up the portal. This is the symbol that's there. I think that's kind of cool. Something I wanted to point out about child. I'm waiting for this to... Come on. Oh, it's in the next scene, that's why. Might just be real low quality, because why not? Come on, child. There he is. First off, that is a claymore. So that's a thing. He went from this double-handed spear thing. Well, maybe it's not a claymore. Maybe that just is his... Oh, no. Okay, never mind. It's just his spear. I thought it was a claymore. It's just the angle. Okay. I don't know why that's, like, suddenly really weird quality. There's a few things. First off, you can see his armor's pretty busted, which is something we've never seen in Foul Legacy before. So this battle must have done quite a lot to him. Oh yeah, you're right. His hair is changing color too. Look. It went from orange over here to pink at the tips like his master. So that's interesting. Kind of looks at like a hilichurl from that angle. Interesting that you say that. You think that's just the lighting of his hair? I don't think so. That doesn't look like lighting to me. It's pretty consistent. Look at that. See? That's really consistent. I think that's actually his hair color changing. Yeah, it's a hair color gradient. Also, Jesse Yoon, thanks for the super chat. Yeah, it's possible he's the second phase boss, the body that you fight inside of the whale. That is possible. Especially if there's some kind of well, not really a hypnosis-y thing. I don't know what else to call it. Something I've been thinking about in regards to child. I don't know if you guys have watched the video I made on him. Well, not on him. Well, I mean, yeah, it was on Farina and him, really. One of the things I proposed in that video was that child was considered guilty because he has primordial seawater inside of him, or at least a fragment of this whale, and the whale is like the embodiment of the primordial seawater. That seems to be pretty accurate here. But something else I suggested is that the primordial whale isn't really something from the abyss necessarily, but I suggested it was actually something trapped in the abyss but sent by Celestia, making it a celestial whale. And something I think is interesting is let's see, hold up. Oh wait, I wanted the translations. I wanted to look at something. This one here, Demon King Armament. This is the name of his Foul Legacy transformation. Now, the thing with Demon in Genshin is that demons are mostly associated with gods, right? Like archons and stuff. Archons are all demon gods and whatever. So I'm looking at him like, if that's a demon king armament, then this means that this isn't really an abyssal transformation, but potentially a celestial one. And I find that interesting, given that Skirk here, right? Given that she also looks very celestial, but wanders around in the abyss. I also don't know how many of you have seen some of my Scaramouche, well, now Wanderer theories, where I was talking about how he's very Shinji coded from Evangelion and drawing a ton of parallels there. But the thing is Child is very Asuka coded. And if I remember correctly, it has been a long time since I've watched any of Evangelion. But Asuka at one point not only lost an eye, but I think, didn't she lose an eye to an angel or something? And since angels and demons are kind of the same thing, demons are just fallen angels, it just makes me think, hey, you know what? Child's gonna be an angel, like literally an angel, a wrathful, vengeful angel, which I think is really funny. Anyway. In the movies, Asuka lost an eye, yeah. Angel Child. For those of you who are confused, I feel like we have to do, where's the comparison? Yeah. Oh. I don't know why it's not loading all that well. There we go. So on the left, this is Asuka when she was doing her crossover into Honkai Impact 3rd. And then we have Child. Like it's just like you can see where the inspiration was, right? And so because of this, I'm looking at the whole like angel thing. Oh, look, this is a better one. Why did I click this one? You can see the whole body. I think the whole angel thing kind of has some merit. Even if it's not like a plot device, it's just kind of like a reference, you know? So I think that's kind of fun. It would also explain why he ends up having really big roles and stuff. I think that's hilarious. Skirk looks like Benares from Honkai Impact. Yeah. You're right. For those of you who don't know who this is Benares. She was a Honkai beast, or I guess a dragon in this case. From Honkai Impact 3rd, and this is some of her artwork, her official artwork. I think all these, yeah, here we go. Oh, this is a better one. There we go. You can definitely see the inspiration there for Skirk. This is another reason why I say I think she might actually be a bishop. Not just because you can see literal fins. Oh my god, I can't. There we go. You can see a literal fin attached to her skin here. Not only can you see that, but, you know, Benares was a dragon. Given a human form. There we go. This was her dragon form. This is probably not the best. Oh, wait. This is a better image. There you go. Yeah. Roach, thanks for the 10 gifted. Oh, Allison Brooks, thank you for the 5 gifted. Appreciate that. As a child lover, I'm foaming at the mouth for 4.2. Yeah. We'll be doing a lot of child stuff. I get the feeling he'll be a pretty big focus. It's interesting. He showed up here, but he didn't say anything. So I'm wondering if like he's gonna have a very similar role as he did in the last Archon quest. Whereas we see a lot of him, we don't really interact with him. I kind of feel that way. Anyway. Yeah, so I am all for this Benares thing. I definitely think that checks out. But that's an interesting thing, right? Because if you don't know this, in Honkai Impact, Benares was kind of like a dragon familiar-y kind of thing for Siren. And this is Siren. And Siren is actually the Kiana that you play in game. So I think that's interesting. It means Skirk has a pretty big role in the overall plot, which is awesome, especially if I end up being even remotely right about her being related to the Hexen Circle, because that means this is going to be like the first time that we see the Hexen Circle actually start mattering. And the other reason she takes possession of Kiana, I mean, kind of, but not really. Kiana, let's not get into it too much. Just know that Siren and Kiana are intrinsically linked. How's that? We'll leave it at that, and we'll let people who are far more engaged with the Honkai lore debate that topic further. Because I'm not here for that battle. I think that's something to ask Homu Labs. Because I'm like 90% sure that is actually the case, because Kiana was a clone, and then I'm pretty sure Siren was put into her, and that's like why they have that whole manga chapter about it, but whatever. Anyway, couple of things. Down here, you can see all of the people who had voices, like named roles in the thing. And we have this Nicole Reen of the Hexen Circle, codenamed N. So Nicole is back again. If you don't remember, she was basically, I'm just gonna let this play in the background while we talk. Nicole was the one who spoke to us at the end of Inversion of Genesis. And she was talking about how you can only trust what you see and all that other kind of stuff, right? So she's back. She's got voice lines. And we also have a full name for her with Reen. Reeyn. Which isn't familiar to me, actually. I don't actually know what Reen... I'm gonna assume they're, I'm gonna assume that they're, okay, so it might be Rain, okay. Nicole Reen, Russian. Hi, Vietnamese. Yeah, I know this is the fandom, leave me alone. They're mostly giving rains. Okay, we'll look at the rest of it later. So the fact that she's here and that Mona has lines in this trailer makes me think that the whole thing about Skirk Child and the Hexen Circle being interconnected is actually going to be a thing. No, I know it's not Russian. I know this is the wiki, guys. It's giving the translation for the names. Nicole Rain right here. See, that's all. It's giving this, okay. She's probably Nicole, right? Yeah. Hold up. Let's take that. Yeah. I saw this floating around a bit, and someone has just mentioned it in chat. So I think the reigning theory, no pun intended, is that Nicole is based off of, I don't know how to pronounce this name, so I'm not going to. But I think she's called the human computer because she was incredibly good at mathematics. Yeah. Calculating dates of astronomical events and that kind of stuff. Perfect for the Hexen Circle when you've got Barbella and Mona over there doing all of these astrology things, right? So I think, is Nicole Mona's teacher? No. Mona's teacher is Barbella. Ryandaughtr is somebody else entirely. Do we need to watch the Hexen Circle thing? Do I need to point out where all these guys are? Mona's Hexen Circle? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I guess we'll do that. You guys really want to watch the Hexen Circle thing all over again? You want me to show you who each person is? Is that what we should do? Okay, hold on. I could just search for this, couldn't I? But scrolling's so much fun. Look at our history. All right.
Ever heard of the Hexen Circle? As the spooky name suggests, it's a secret society. Once upon a
Cat
time,
doesn't know
the
past
challenge
lore.
began with Archon
Well,
himself.
I don't know.
But he replied, "Let us make music, not war, and resolve our conflicts through song."
So who's talking right now is Alice. Okay? Everyone should know Alice. I know it's super quiet. It's okay. I'm talking over it. That's why.
At these tea parties, they discussed their
Here, is this better?
secrets and resolved their differences, as the tea and cakes bore witness to their
Is that
pledge
better?
never to fight amongst themselves.
Yesterday, I snuffed out the life of my beloved. He had grown old.
Okay, so this person here, this is Ivanovna. This is Jay. Okay, this is one of the Hexen Circle.
Old and was extremely sick. He loved me dearly, so I took his fate in my hands and ended his pain.
I'm raising a son.
This is Rhine-daughter. Okay, I just saw Richon's asking, what do I think about those crack theories about child Jesus? Those people are a little misled. It's not Jesus. It should be Adam. We'll come back to that.
Of all the children I had,
This is Rhine-daughter
He's the
here
only one
because
left.
this is Albedo. Okay.
but I suppose that still makes me a mother.
So one other thing to point out about Rhine-daughter is she has created at least 2 dragons. There we go. And her teacup has a dragon on it. So Rhine-daughter in particular is very dragon-coded. So Skirk potentially being related to not only these celestial reading astronomers, but also some dragon alchemists. It feels pretty fitting, okay? Is she a dragon herself?
But I suppose that still makes
who
me a
knows?
mother.
This is M. Right down here. Anders' daughter. M. She wrote The
My
Boar
lifespan
Princess.
is nothing compared to yours, so I wish to
as
leave
well
you
as
with
probably
my
a few other
storybooks.
things.
Actually, maybe you can pass it on to your children one day.
Oh, this looks interesting.
This is Barbelleth. Okay, this is Mona's master, and we know this for sure because look at her line. Let me scry. That is 150% Mona's master because that's what Mona says all the time. If you use her in combat. If you don't use her in combat, maybe you don't know that. But let me scry is like Mona's catchphrase. And also she calls her the whole old hag. Barbelleth is based off of Barbello, which was like the ultimate deity of some branches of Gnosticism, which would make her extremely old. Also, she just sounds like a much older lady. So this is for sure Mona's master, all right? We're not gonna watch the rest of this. I mean, I guess we could, but I'm not gonna. That was all I wanted to share. Leave my space. Yeah, exactly. Ashen Dragon, thanks for the super. Paimon is still evil incarnate. I mean, she's a demon. She's named after one. Bell Foxling, thanks for the super. Did it say that Farina and N had the same voice actor? Do you think that'll be a plot twist? I don't think it did, no. Nicole is Amber Connor. Farina is Amber. Oh, wait a minute. That would be kind of hilarious. They're not the same name. I don't think they're the same person, but maybe we should check anyway. Amber Lee Connors and then Amber Connor. Because that would be really funny to have two... Oh, these are 2 very different people, I think. Maybe. Yeah, these look like 2 very different people. Amber started in 2007. I think these are different people. Yeah. These are two different people. But that is actually really funny. I didn't even notice that. Amberly Connors and then Amber Connor. Man, I'd love to get both of them in the same live stream together. Wow. I love that. I love that. That's so funny. 3 Ambers on Genshin. Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure that the two would be related in game because they don't really sound similar. What happened to Agaria? I'm not really sure. Honestly, actually, hold up. While we're here, let's go look at the Final Feast really quick. I don't want to watch the Final Feast, but I want to where'd it go? Way to Final Feast. There it is. I just want to look at the credits really quick. Courtney Steele. Yeah, so this is like a completely different person. I guess I could have just gone to the wiki and looked it up. I could have just done that. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I guess the only way I would say that Nicole could be potentially related to Focalor is if she's in the Oratrice. Because that would kind of play out with the whole you know, human computer thing if she's like in a god machine, but I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure. Light mode user? I'm not really a light mode user. I have it set to dynamically shift depending on time of day. So I'm only like half of one. Nicole did introduce Farina, yeah. I think a lot of it's just because like French. Doesn't Skirk look exactly the same as Silverwing? Not really. Farina's oh, okay, hold up. Sagathon, thank you for the super. Farina's vision. What does it mean? Let's have a chat. Okay. Let's see how many people noticed she had a vision. Let's see if I can find a good shot of it too. There, well, that's not really a great shot of it. I'm wondering if can you see it when she's dancing on stage? Nope, you can't. Oh, this is interesting actually. Okay, we'll chat about this in a second. Yeah, Farina has a vision. There it is. I got a good shot of it. You see it? You see it? You see it? You see it? Blah. It's not a badge. It's an actual vision. When she is in this Usia form, she has a vision. When she's in her Numa form, she does not have a vision. It's really interesting. So she goes back and forth between the Numa and Usia, where she's like in god form and then she's in human form. And I'm actually wondering with this whole like sentencing her to death thing with the giant guillotine. So like here's her Numa form, right? Her Numa form, you can see she's got long hair, she's got the badge, she has white shorts and a white jacket. And then if you scrubby slide along to her Usia form, well, I'm having a hard time. Leave me alone. There we go. If you scrubby slide along to her Usia form, you see her white shorts changed to black, her suit changed to black, and she gained a vision in place. So, you remember how I said that she might be the most human of all of the gods? Splash art has a black dress and vision. Oh, right, they showed the splash art. Where is that? Oh, here it is. Oh, that's the old splash art. There it is. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, this is a much better shot. That's a much better shot. So I actually, okay, here's my prediction of what I actually think has happened with Farina and why she's doing the things she's doing. So I personally think that based on this whole thing where she's asking Neuvillette, like, how did he enjoy playing his role for the last 500 years? And he's the judge, right? he has to be the judge and Farina can't be the judge because she needs to be put on trial, apparently. And that guillotine, I think, isn't necessarily going to kill Farina. I think it severs her connection to divinity, for lack of a better term. Maybe the better word is to say it cuts folklore out of her or kills folklore. Does she have a vision in Numa as well? Does she? Really? Wait, where's the gameplay for her Numa? I don't think she has a vision in. I'm gonna just check this one because it's faster. Does she wait, does she even show her healing in this one? She doesn't. Okay, so we have to do it in this one. Okay.
He has more than one alignment?
Yes.
So
Or decreases.
okay.
Farina's elemental burst deals damage to surrounding opponents. And when the party members HP
I don't see the
or decreases, Farina
I don't see the
fanfare point.
the Numa one.
That's my trumpet.
I'm mostly going on splash art. Okay, well maybe I could be wrong on the Numa thing. But I can't see.
Wow, it seems like this fighting style really suits Farina's character.
She's not on field.
And unpredictable.
I mean, it's not very helpful. Earlier, you said 035? Oh, you mean of the of this? Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Too many things open now. Oh. Oh, hey, you're right. She does. Look at it. It's right there. Okay, so she's going to replace it entirely. That's interesting. Okay, well, that supports the idea even more. That supports the idea even more. 12:39 on the live stream. 12. Oh, yeah. Okay, that one's good too. I see. Come on. Oh, high frame rates. I abhor you sometimes. Yeah, okay. I see it. I see it. No, you're right. Okay, okay. I was going mostly based off of the splash art, but you're right. It is in both her forms. So that's interesting. But that kind of pushes the idea that she's going to stop basically being not the I don't okay, that's the wrong way to say. I don't think she's going to stop being the Archon because Archon is a title. I think she'll stop being Focalor. What's that? I think there's definitely a difference between being an Archon, being a demon god, and all of that other kind of stuff. Wanderer style. Yeah, I guess maybe. A little different. So yeah, this is why I'm pushing this idea is Zhongli and Venti are both undercover, so they have fake visions, right? They don't want people to know that they're the Archon, and no one is supposed to know that they're the Archon. But with Farina and Nahida and Raiden, everyone knows who they are, and everyone knows they're the Archon. So if they wear a vision, it's weird, right? So for Farina specifically, she's a very high-profile person. For her to walk around with a vision, even though it seems to be a pretty special one, look, it's got both Numa and Osea on it. It's got like you see the thingies? Woo! Anyway. So I think that's interesting. So she goes around with something that is not usually worn by an Archon. And she's like, so will she stop being divine and sever her connection to Celestia? Yeah, that's basically what I'm thinking. So, like, not stopping being the Archon, but, you know, to... I don't even want to say lower herself to the level of a human, because that's not right either. I think humans might be more important than Archons in the end. How about this? Her role in the stage play has ended. Because, like, if you look through this trailer, the whole thing seems to be pushing the idea that the prophecy has to be fulfilled. But there are some ways to sort of, like, get around some loopholes with it, right? Because if a prophecy is fulfilled, everyone dies, Farina is on a throne crying, then she's basically hit all of the bullet points, right? And if she hits all of the bullet points, then what happens after the prophecy doesn't matter. It's not set in stone, right? Yeah, it's cheating the system, basically. It's finding a loophole in the law. So the way this is set up, it feels like Agaria saw all of this and was like, listen, there's no way to avoid the inevitable. So what if we try to force it to happen, but on our terms so we can control the circumstances? So if Agaria says, I'll give up my form, Farina will take the stage and over time collect indemnitium, which maybe she then uses to protect the people after they dissolve or to keep them separated or something, or to be able to identify them by their crimes. I don't know. Then Farina can basically play the role of the Archon on stage, go through an entire execution of Focalor, but because she's really Farina and not entirely Focalor, she's like both. She kind of ends up killing Focalor, but not Farina, and therefore everyone lives, kind of thing. I don't know. That's very, very messy, but that's kind of what this trailer seems to be implying. How's that? Does Raiden have a vision? No, she does not. Raiden does not have a vision, and Nahida does not have a vision. Nahida's little... You can tell where a vision is on a character based on where the particles go when they cast their skill. So, like, take Diluc, for example. If you have his paid skin, he doesn't have a vision anywhere on it. But the bird on his chest has like a glowing red eye, and I think that's kind of where his vision or delusion or whatever goes. And that's where all of the particles go. It goes to that bird. So if you play as Raiden or you play as Nahida, with Nahida, for example, her particles go to her head where she has that green leaf coming out of her hair. So that is her quote unquote vision equivalent, but she doesn't have a vision. So it's that kind of a thing. With Nuvalet, it's his throat gem, I think. I'm pretty sure. I should check, but I'm usually behind him and not in front of him. I'm pretty sure it's his throat. We'll come back to that. But anyway. Yeah, so I think I was probably right about her being the most human of all Archons in the end, because it looks like she's going to be willingly getting in wearing a vision, and I think it's going to be a real one by the looks of things. It does seem special though, because she's got both Numa and Ucia. It's kind of cool. Isn't the lead the old Nahida? What? I don't know what you mean. Fluoroma Prism, thanks for the super. Farina is pulling a Dumbledore with herself as Harry. I do not know what that means. But okay. I'm gonna give you an awkward smile and thumbs up on that one. Wolfie, thank you for the super. You said, let's say that Skirk is the whale who was trapped. The trailer shows that the whale is escaping in the opera where the Oratrice is. Thoughts? That's a good question. Do we even have thoughts about that? No, my head is empty. Let's see. We can get to. Well, we got to talk about this guy over here too. Oh, it's like literally the next scene. Of course, it would be. So it's in the middle of the opera house where all of the people are. It's not on the stage at all. So that's interesting. 2 different cutscenes. Is it? I have no idea. No, I mean, because Child here is running off of the stage. So I don't think that's two different cutscenes. I think this is the same cutscene because see, Child right here is on the stage running towards the audience. The audience is where the whale came in. That is still technically beneath the Oratrice, though. I don't think that means that the whale is in the Oratrice or anything. I just think that the Oratrice is connected to all of the waters of Fontaine, including the Fountain of Lucine. And I think the primordial water has just infected all of the waters. A lot of water, cross-water contamination. What if the audience becomes a whale? I don't think they'll become the whale. I mean, the whale might eat them, given by some of those shots of the boss scene with the thing eating it. It's just that, like, in the last Archon quest, it ended with Child waking up underwater and the whale was already above him, which implies to me that wherever Child swam to when he left Maripede, he ended up in the place where the whale was, right? And in that place where the whale was like chilling. And the whale was just like in the ocean somewhere. Might be in like a deep ocean somewhere, but I don't know. Pleroma Prism. Oh, thanks again for the super. Harry was raised to die to fulfill the prophecy by Dumbledore to win against Veldy. Oh. Okay. Okay, that makes more sense. Full disclosure, I have only read up to book 5 of that series, and I don't even remember book 5. I was like 15 when the first 2 books came out. And yeah, I lost interest in them before they even got close to their ending. I've been rather disconnected, which is probably a good thing given all the drama around it, but I like to not get involved if I can. So yeah, that's interesting. I didn't notice it coming out in the audience chamber at first. It's also kind of weird because it's like, it's literally punching a hole in reality. Literally punching a hole in reality. But yeah. Nick Talk. Thanks for the super. Farina having a vision ties well with your theory about visions. It kind of does. Kind of does. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so actually on that topic of that vision theory and stuff, I'm still pretty confident about the whole Gnosis being Dragon Authority kind of thing. I am still pretty confident about that. However, I do want to emphasize that it's possible that's not the case. So for that theory in particular, this patch will make or break it. So that'll be cool. That'll be really cool. Oh, one other thing, because I've completely forgotten until this point. I think it's been a while. In another theory about Child, I suggested that Skirk might be the blue-eyed witch that Parsifal knew. Obviously, she has red eyes, so it's probably not the case here. However, that doesn't really discount anything else about it doesn't really discount anything else about his connection to Parsifal. But I wanted to throw that out there, that like Skirk is not the blue-eyed witch from his tale, unless she's gone through some sort of weird transformation and gotten new powers and had her eye colors change, which is a thing that happens when you gain new powers oftentimes in video games and anime and things like that. So that's a possibility. But for the most part, we're like 99%. I'll leave the 1% as like a maybe. 99% sure that that's that part's not true. So she's not Josephine, basically. That was a blue-eyed witch's name, was Josephine. We learned that later. Anyway, Fischl also had her eye color changed. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. So I'm leaving like that 1%, like maybe, but at this point, probably not. So what if Afrina is an Allogene before she ascended? I don't think ascension is a real thing. Wasn't magenta a non-existent color into that? Not quite. Not quite. Skirk looks more like a fish than a bishop. I mean, do you not remember? Okay, hold up. Hold up. I mean, you guys remember that bishops are like these underwater creatures, right? And like they have fins. Like they have fins. They swim in the ground. Like they're water lizards, or at least these ones are. Well, not the boss. I mean like the regular enemies, not the boss versions. Like these. Yeah, like these ones. These ones swim in the ground. They have fins. Ah, Kokomi, so much has been stolen from you on this day. Actually, you know, on the topic of Kokomi, though, just because she's here, a lot of people are saying that, you know, Marina can walk on water. She's not the Hydro Dragon. Man, you know, she's lost everything. I don't technically agree. Kokomi is actually a koi. I think we said this a long time ago. Watatsumi Island is full of koi motifs, basically. Like there's little fish everywhere. There's those goldfish statues everywhere, right? Well, koi and goldfish are kind of different, but that's not the point. The point here is that in Japanese mythology, in order for a koi fish to become a dragon, it has to leap over Dragon's Gate. And since she's called the sleeping dragon, in my opinion, it just means that Kokomi is someone who has like the potential to become a dragon, or is like the goldfish that hasn't jumped over the Dragon's Gate, so she's not a full dragon yet. That's kind of where I see her being. And that's kind of why, you know, she has the little fishies in her attack animations, and everything about her is a fish, not really dragon. But anyway. Check out 231 in the trailer. That's Child's Constellation. Yeah, it is. He based his like whole moveset that we fight him in the first Fatui battle in the Golden House. That giant narwhal. He based that on this whale here. So it would explain why his constellation's like that. Something I'll be curious to see if they cover is actually Child's Constellation. Solely because of what happened with Wanderer's Constellation. If you guys don't know, there is a constellation wheel for the Fatui characters. I have a point with this, I promise. I don't want okay, I just okay, here we go. I should probably just go to the wiki and pull the wiki one, because that's like the full whatever. I should just go to the wiki. I should just go to the wiki. Oh, wait. There are theories on the wiki? Oh, that's new. The thing I wanted to... Oh, wait. I wanted the Harbinger one. Where's the Harbinger wheel? I know you're here. Here it is. So the thing about the Fatui wheel is that you can see Child's Narwhal down here, right? He joined the Fatuis at like 14 or whatever. But you can also see Skara's over here. And the thing about Skara's is actually different from his final constellation. And not just by a little bit. Not just by a little bit either. Like, this is pretty different from this. It's like similar, but it's different. Like it has a whole different background. He's got different sleeves. He doesn't have eyes in this one like he does in the old one. And you can say like, well, they updated the design, but like what I'm actually wondering is if this implies that constellations can change to a degree. And so I'm looking at the narwhal for Child, and the thing is Child's actual constellation and this narwhal haven't changed all that much. And I'm wondering if prior to falling into the abyss, if he didn't have a different constellation. or if he was fated to always fall into the abyss and always had this constellation. I'm very curious about this. And currently, right now, it seems like the Claw is the most realistic constellation for Arlecchino. Reason being, we're going in counterclockwise order, it seems. Right? Narwhal, Child, Senora, Skara. This makes sense for Arlecchino since she's probably next. Which would mean Columbina, I'm gonna guess Capitano. And then I don't know what's going on with this side. But I'm wondering if this constellation will change. And I want to see if they're going to address the fact that the constellations don't appear to be fixed things. Anyway, tangent, sorry. Just on a long ass tangent. Isn't Capitano the crying mask? We don't know anything about him. I still think Piero is the crying mask, but it kind of yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Brian, thanks for the 10 gifted. Stella Hime, thank you for the super. And thank you for the compliment. You also have a question. It says, couple of things. A pitch black hole is similar to the place in the Book of Revealing's quest, and the guillotine looks like an anchor. Thoughts? I'm not sure if the guillotine looks like an anchor. I think it actually looks like, frig, what are they called? This one. I think it looks like the sword in this. That's what I think. I think it looks like this. So I don't know if it looks like an anchor. I mean, it could be an intentional thing. Sword of Damocles, yeah. Yeah. That's that one. But yeah, the hole in the sky and everything is very much like the thing in Canatilla's quest. If you guys haven't done the world quest with the Melazines, I highly suggest you do it, because one of the side quests to that quest is dealing with a Melazine named Canatilla or Canatia. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it. They're not voiced. But after you collect some of the enigmatic pages, you can go inside of a book that was left behind by Renee, and you can actually see a prophecy where there are ruins just like Enkanomiya's ruins, like in that same architectural style. And they're just kind of floating in the sky, and you have a cracked sky just like this one. Is that the one with the world theory? Yeah. Looks like the Raiden Shogun Rift. Yeah, but see, I think that the fact that Raiden is associated with Celestia in the Archon sense, and then the theory that the whale is actually a celestial whale and not an abyssal whale, I think that actually matters here when it comes to the sky breaking, essentially. Because we talk about, like, the sky in Teyvat being fake and all that. The cracked sky also looks like the Rift in Nouvellette trailer. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Everything points to this prophecy. But here's the deal, okay? With this cracked sky, I don't think the whale is the start and the end of it. Like you mentioned, like Raiden has this in her boss fight. To a degree. To a smaller degree. But it's also in Nouvellette's trailer. Nouvellette is supposed to judge not just one god, but all of the gods. So he started with Farida. He's got a lot more to go. But I think overall that Fontaine in general is almost like a parallel for events that either have happened in Celestia or are going to happen in Celestia, right? You know how Genshin often does these different quest lines where they're sort of like telling you a different story, but that different story is actually basically a different spin on a future story that we're gonna do. that's kind of what I think's happening in Fontaine, and that's why I think there's so much emphasis on like the sky breaking, because I think that's part of endgame for Genshin. I think that the sky's gonna break. And the reason why it happens in the Nation of Water specifically is because in Abrahamic mythology, hold on, cosmology, I think. Oh yeah, it's just gonna auto. That's fine. Oh wait, I didn't want this one. Let's just grab an image. I don't wanna go through this. We'll go with this one. That's very small. It's fine. It's fine. You get the idea. So the idea here with Abrahamic mythology and cosmology, rather, I should say cosmology. You've basically got the Earth. This would be Tevat. You've got the Sheol, which would be like where Conria is, right? This is big underground place. The Tehom, or the Great Deep. This would be abyssal stuff. All of this abyssal stuff. But you'll see the upper seas, the chambers of heaven, and the waters above the firmament. Notice how it says waters above the firmament. So if you have this big glass dome on top of the earth, and out here is this watery sea of stars, notice that all of this, the great deep and the waters above the firmament, are all kind of the same thing, right? This is an interesting way to structure something. But the idea is that, like, at the end of the world, see these gaps here? These are the windows of the firmament. And so these windows open and they let in the waters of the firmament. And that's kind of why I think that's endgame here for Genshin, and why it's being teased so much in here with this whale. Like, you basically have, quote unquote, water. There's that. Do I think Skirk's a shade of life? No. I don't. I don't think so. Yes, I noticed that child attacks the whale and his Val Legacy armor is damaged. We talked about that earlier already. So the cracks in the sky are the windows of the firmament? Yeah, I mean, well, I guess if there's not a window, you just make one. Yeah. What will happen to the Gnosis who will get it, Nouvelette or Arlecchino? I think Nouvelette. But we'll see. The Gnosis wasn't addressed at all. This patch will probably tell us a lot more about the Gnosis than anything else. The sky hole in the Perry area. Yeah. Is Tevat upside down or not? I don't think Tevat is upside down so much as it's mirrored. But that is a really complex thing to explain. Jello Cat, thanks for the super. It looks like the giant rip in the sky from the esoteric book quest area. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Anotilla's quest, that one. I don't think Nouvelette will give away the Gnosis to the Fatui without taking something out of it. Personally. Yeah. Doesn't Nouvelette say he regains the Gnosis in his final ascension line? Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, he does, but he doesn't say Gnosis. What does Fischl have to do with all of this? I mean, Fischl is pretty Farina coded. Don't you think? Part of me just thinks Fischl is supposed to be an allegory for Farina, but I know that's not quite right. But I wonder if it's kind of the same thing with Farina, where, like, you know how I was saying Fontaine is basically teasing the end game of Celestia? I wonder if Fischl and Farina are both teasing the same story in two different ways. But yeah, it says here, now that I have reclaimed one of the 7 authorities from the hands of the usurpers, I have regained my true form. This implies that it's the Gnosis. We're guessing this is the Gnosis, but he never says Gnosis outright. but I mean, I guess he wouldn't, because why would he? Why would he call it a gnosis if it's not, if it's like a Dragoneth bird instead, right? What I think Nicole's role will be in the quest, I just think it'll be the same as it was in Wanderer, just like a commentary, I'm watching you, teasing the future kind of thing. Fischl has so much Farina energy, especially if you play her event quest. Yeah, exactly. If you did the Golden Apple Archipelago Fischl quest, you'll know exactly what I mean. Guys, when is the Genshin live stream? Dude, it was hours ago. Like, literally hours ago. You were thinking when Farina told Nouvelette about... hold on. Why is it like that? Enjoying his role, etc. I understood it as him completing his role as the Eudex and reaching his full dragon form via the Gnosis. Yeah. I mean, that's more or less the same thing, isn't it?
End in a... I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you. All will eventually end in a magnificent and dramatic...
I love this shot, though. This shot is so good. One thing that's kind of, I don't want to say upsetting to me about Genshin, because it's not really upsetting. It's just, it's by design of a live service game. They can't really make anything completely inaccessible again if it's like a main story plot. So like they could never truly destroy an entire city, I feel like. And that's something I feel like Genshin would have benefited so much more from, for being like a 3-part RPG or something. You know? Because they could really give you a before and after where like the landscape is completely different with real missable things, because you could just replay it again. But because it's a live service game in the nature of like, you know, currency, limited time banners and that kind of stuff, they can't really do that. I mean, they could, but they would never do that. That's, I think that's one of the most unfortunate things about live service games. And also why I don't think live service games can ever completely replace standalone games. What if Serena severs her connection from Celestia and she is given a vision by Nouvelette, the Hydro Dragon, after he gains the Gnosis and saves Fontaine? I still don't think Nouvelette can give Gnosis, but that would be interesting. What was the result of Deep Blue versus Kasparov chess game in relation to Fontaine? I think it's a stalemate. I'm pretty sure it's a stalemate. Hold on. Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's find out. We need to specify 1996. All right. Because the 97, we're not on, we don't do the 97 rematch. We do the 1996 match. We're basing on this one. So, game 1 is Mondstadt and Liyue, I think. No, it's Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma. No, it isn't. I forget what I said. Oh no, what did I say? I forget. No, yeah, so it should be up to Inazuma. And then game 2 is Sumeru, which means, yeah, okay, so game 3 is Fontaine. And then this would be Natlin. This is Snezhnaya. And this should be Conria. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So draw by neutral agreement. It's a stalemate. Tis a stalemate. You do like the idea that some others are posting about Nouvelette taking the power from the Gnosis somehow, and if do we get anything, it's just a powerless piece. You know what's interesting, though? That's not as unlikely as you would think. Hold up. Let's see. Well, let's see. Genshin prologue cutscene. I didn't want this one. Is it part? There's only 3 parts to it, right? I'm trying to remember. All story cutscenes. Okay, this might work fine because there's only like one scene that I'm interested in right now. So I don't know if you guys remember this way back in the very beginning of the game.
Listen to me.
Venti does
Freedom
something
is
weird
demanded
here.
of you by an Archon. There's really no freedom at all.
He summons this weird little animo orb and gives it to Dvalin, who then just suddenly glows friggin' white, right?
The power of the Animal Archon.
The Animal Archon. So this is interesting to me for 2 reasons, right? So Venti says in his voice lines that he knows every song that has ever been written and ever will be written, and he's kind of associated with prophecies, right? And he can also call back the winds of the dead. He's associated with Istaroth and time and everything. So you gotta wonder if during this part, right, he knew that later the Fatui would come and try to take the Gnosis from him. This is one of those things where I'm like, did Venti take the authority out of the Gnosis and give it to Dvalin and then give Signora an empty husk? Because if he did, that would be really cool. And it would also imply that this is something that could be done with Neuvillette and Farina, because Farina could give the authority back to Neuvillette, but then give the husk of the Gnosis to Arlecchino or whoever. I'm very confused about Arlecchino's role in all of this, if only because, like, right now she just feels like she's the person applying steady pressure to Farina to actually, like, get things done and increasing her stress level. But I'm not really sure, like, what actual role she's gonna play. And I feel like her story is far from over, and I think she's gonna go a similar Wanderer way and become playable. Although I will say, the thing I've noticed so far, if Arlecchino becomes playable, there'll be a distinct pattern that emerges with the Fatui. If a character shows up and they have a vision, they will be playable as is. Okay? So, Child, when he showed up, had a vision, playable as is. Arlecchino has a vision. Don't know if she's playable yet, but if she is, because she looks like she has a very playable, friendly model, she would be playable as is. Wanderer shows up. Well, Scaramouche shows up, doesn't have a vision, dies, gets a whole redesign, gets a vision, is playable. Retroactively looking back, you have Signora, right? Who does not have a vision, is not playable, has died, comes back, redesign with a vision, then playable. It seems like a pretty reliable pattern if Arlecchino ends up being playable, which I think feels very realistic. Especially because, like we said earlier, the most likely I closed it, sorry. The most likely constellation for her is the Clawed Hand, just because it looks like we're going counterclockwise now. Which means Columbina is after her, which is very interesting. So if that is her constellation, like, that constellation is the Hand of Glory. And the Hand of Glory is really the hand of a thief or a traitor or a criminal kind of thing. So for her to betray the Tsaritsa seems very realistic, thematically and everything else. So anyway. Yeah. Does Dottore have a vision? No, he does not. Another reason why I'm saying that. Any thoughts about the Narwhal's title being Visitor from the Far Side of the Sea of Stars? Because Visitor sounds suspicious. Yeah, this is kind of why I'm saying I think the whale is celestial and not abyssal, though, because the primordial one, the guy who's a master of the well, the person, sorry, it's androgynous, who's the master of the four shades in Celestia, right? That person is not native to Tivat as far as we know. As far as we know, the primordial one could be the traveler from afar from the myths of the Seelies and the Moon Sisters, right? So I think that makes sense. There's also, I forget where it is. Oh, let's see if the wiki will give it to me. Oh, maybe it is in this one. It is in the... Well, maybe not. Nope, there it is. Yep, there it is. It is this one. This line reminds me of this. So on the Fell Dragon's monocle from Nim Stream, which was released with some of the last patches from Sumeru, this line specifically says, the star beasts shall drink the amniotic fluid of the world dry. 100 years from then, all life on its surface shall be wiped away. I'm pretty sure this right here is a line spoken by Renee from the Nartzenkreuz stuff, because this is about him going through a rebirth process and stuff like that. And he's talking about the prophecy with the whale and everything. So he's calling it the star beasts. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of where my head's at. You thought it would be a video? It says live stream in the corner of the thumbnail. Child is no. Okay. Oh, right. We wanted to talk about the child is Jesus thing. All right. I think the thing about child is Jesus is a bit of a... What is the wrong direction to be looking? In my opinion, child is more like Adam than Jesus. I'm not quite sure how to explain it without just saying, listen, Evangelion is about a battle between Lilith and Adam, and child is basically a reskinned Asuka. But there. yeah, Adam. I feel like he's more like an Adam than a Jesus. You kind of have to think of like the role of them, I guess. It's just very difficult for me to look at the lore and be like, yes, child is the son of God. He's gonna save everyone from their sins and also finish all the work that King Solomon left undone. And I'm like, it's hard to equate that with him. Anyway. Who's the serpent? From the battle pass. Isn't Asuka more like an Eve than an Adam? I mean, yeah, but they gender bent, so. Scar, what are you doing in Child's hospital room? Okay, no, don't. One thing I do want to point out though, which I thought was really funny. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, yay, I love Wanderer. And that's why I noticed something funny. So in this scene with the whale, I don't think this is intentional, but the very first thing I thought of when I saw this in particular, this is just Scar's burst. That's just his burst. I thought that was funny. I don't think it was intentional. Like, let's be clear. This is not intentional, but I just think it's really funny. it looks exactly like his burst. Like right here, it's a perfect circle. It's got the little pulsations on the side. It's a black hole sucking you in. Like, come on. I won't say it's reused or anything. I just think it's really funny. Anna, do you think the twins are like Star Beasts too, since the Canatilla line about them swallowing the world in a single bite and all that talk about them being stars? I think that's possible. I'm not sure, like, how do I put this? The twins are so interesting because they basically have a connection to everything. Like, literally everything. And I feel like if you put a spin on anything they do, you'll be able to make it work, right? Like, you could make them a dragon, you could make them an angel, you could make them an eon, you could make them a primordial human, you could make them a clone, you can make them Dainsliff in an alternate reality, migrating the multiverse or whatever. Like, you can do basically anything if you really want to. And I think that's kind of fun in the sense that, like, you can connect them to whatever you want to, but on the other hand, it's kind of like, it makes it really hard to pin down what they actually are. But I will say that the connections between Skirk's outfit and Lumine's outfit are kind of interesting. Obviously, the strapsy part, not really. But if you kind of look at like the overall shape silhouette with the things coming off the back and the pendant on the back, I think that's kind of interesting. It's a very, very loose connection. If you can call it one at all. But yeah. It's food for thought, I think. Isn't it more like Columbina? I don't know what you mean. We don't know what Columbina's outfit yet, so I can't really see. We see the strap from here, the back strap under the neck. I don't think so. I don't think Skirk is Lumine by any means, by the way. What I'm actually suggesting is that they may come from similar roots, or the civilizations that they're from are related. Because one thing that's interesting that Child says is that there were people in the place that he fell in the abyss, and Skirk was just one of them. So if you think about a country that's in the abyss, or even just a city that's in the abyss, that's got a lot of people in it, like, you've got a whole little culture down there. They probably have their own unique style of dress and everything else. So I'm looking at Skirk and Ether and Lumine in kind of that sort of light, as in, like, isn't that interesting that there were more people down there? So where did Lumine and Ether come from initially? Because, like, I'm not convinced they're not from Tibet by any stretch. Like, I don't think anyone can convince me of that at this point until something canonically in game states it. But who knows? Yeah. Let's just shoot my head is that.
I hope.
But Aya G, thanks for the super. With Child's constellation probably maybe acting as a seal for the whale, do you think we'll see something similar for other characters, or is this just a Child thing? I don't know. I want constellation lore, like, really bad. One thing I do wonder is if constellations themselves can come to life. If, like, the stars that you see in the sky that make up your constellation, like, if you can actually manifest it as something, and in Child's whale form was literally a constellation that basically the primordial one reanimated. And yeah, and that's like why it's all funny. So that would be very interesting. It would also kind of explain why the Archons are pictures of themselves, because they are the reanimations of their own constellation. It also has some weird things to say about Wanderer in that way, because that would mean he is also the manifestation of his own constellation. But for stuff like Shao, that would be very odd, because he's supposed to be a bird. but then like he has a human form, but his constellation is his bird form. So like, would he manifest as like a primordial whale looking thing? Oh, not primordial whale, a primordial whale-ish looking bird. How's that? I don't know how to explain that. I want constellation lore. Like a lot. I'm really hoping for some good constellation lore. I'm not sure we're gonna get it. But we'll see. We'll see. Dr. Fuji! Thoughts. Nuvalet is either God and or Pontius Pilati. Don't ask me to pronounce things. The Oratrice is the Holy Spirit, and Foslore's Jesus makes Farina rebirth make some sense. I think her title is actually the Regina of Many Waters. I think Farina has more in common with a Jesus trope than Child does. That I will say. However, the Regina of Many Waters is, as far as I remember, a reference to the Whore of Babylon. Or the Lady of Babylon. Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of earth. So basically I think she betrayed heaven for a dragon. Is more or less her story in extreme summary. I'm pretty sure this is the reference they're trying to make here, which is also what makes the Jesus allegory a little bit weird. Anyway. Looks at the King of Water Dragons next to Farina. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Like, if Agaria and Farina worked together to make all of this happen, right? Then they're basically betraying heaven in order to... Because I'm assuming the primordial whale is coming from Celestia, right? Because I don't think it's abyss aligned. I don't think it's like... I think it's a punishment from heaven. And I think Agaria and Farina are both kind of like, we don't want this, so we're going to betray heaven. And so if they betray heaven and give the authority back to a dragon, then they basically betrayed heaven for a dragon, and that puts them at the Lady of Babylon, basically. Right? Right? So that would be kind of interesting. But on the same topic, right? I know she didn't betray... there was no betrayal for like a whatchamacallit, for the Leviathan specifically. However, in one thing I've been kind of curious about while I was digging around this kind of stuff is that there's no mention of a behemoth. How do I put this into words? So, in Abrahamic mythology, like there are these two gigantic entities. One is the Leviathan, which is Nuvalet in this case. And then the other one is the behemoth. So you've got one for water and one for earth. And if you notice here, the one on the right is the Leviathan, and the one on the left is a bull. That's the behemoth, the earth beast, the giant earth beast, as opposed to the giant water beast. Now, oh my god. I want the demon, thank you. I am pretty sure that Morax is depicted as a man with the head of a bull as well as a bull with the head of the man. And I don't know how to articulate this all that well. I'm sorry. This is not many tabs. Trust me. This is like minimal tabs for me. Something I'm quite curious about here is if there is an instance where Zhongli was at one point the behemoth, and Gui Zhang was supposed to be the Archon, but she died and he took her place and became something else entirely in the process. And that's why his vision shapes are different. Because Liyue visions are square, right? And I don't know how many of you know this. I would assume some of you do. Oh, sorry. Having a dyslexic moment. This is a thing in, I don't remember what it's like actually called. But like in Chinese mythology, heaven is always depicted as a circle and the earth is depicted as a square or a cube. So when we have the only statue of 7 in the game with a non-circular shape be Geo, which is the earth, and a cube. Oh my god, these are tiny. Why are they tiny? There we go. And it's a cube. Doesn't that make you wonder? Because that would kind of make him undercover, subjugated, or whatever. But it would also kind of be very strange for him to give up a gnosis in that sense. I'm not saying he is a behemoth or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is odd to me. All right, listen. There we go. Wouldn't that also be possible representation of Memory of Dust? I mean, kind of, but like at the same time, it doesn't really make sense everywhere else. Like, I know this is this is fan art, but this is actually a very handy image. This is what the statues of 7 look like, right? You've got an orb, cube. Right? And that's why I think it's interesting. So heaven, earth. Because remember, we had the waters of the firmament, right? The waters go around the outside of the earth. So like water being a orb still makes sense here. Bryden's is more of a circle. It doesn't matter if it's an orb or a circle. Like you get the idea, right? Like everything's round, cube. Isn't Inazuma more of it? It's not. That's not the point. The point is that it's round. Point is that it's round. I don't think I even know the name Pontius. Oh. Oh, that's why. Oh, the official who presided over the trial of Jesus and okay, yeah. I can't read this as like, I just read this as Pilates. I'm just picturing a judge doing like yoga style stuff while announcing someone's punishment. Sorry, I have a really horrible memory for names, so I forget the names of people. Especially ones like these. Especially Greek ones. I actually have a really hard time with Greek names. Is it pronounced pilot? That's really funny. I mean, this would make sense. This, yeah, okay. So that kind of supports the idea that Farina is a bit more Jesus-coded than Child. Although he did also preside over Child's thing, so maybe you have multiple Jesuses. Maybe everybody is Jesus. After all, isn't Allogene just another name for Jesus? In some way. Allogenus. Yeah. I think there's a couple of gospels where Allogene is just another name for Jesus, specifically. which would mean anyone with a vision is Jesus. Do you think Zhongli is the stand-in for a martyr in Abrahamic text? I mean, possibly. Who do you think were the three silhouettes in that Venti? That's the three silhouettes that were with Venti in the manga. There were two sets of them. One of them was when he was thinking about Celestia, and the other one was when he was thinking about something else entirely. The ones that are full body, those ones are the Wandering Troop, which you can read about in the artifact set if you want to. They were humans, basically. But the other three, I have no idea. You wonder if the Electro Dragon was Raijin? Maybe. Halogene isn't for Jesus, but a demigod? I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up. I have a really hard time reading the Sometimes Google searches are great. I have a really hard time reading the actual Gnostic texts. They just kind of like don't seep into my brain. Alien Jesus, that's not what I wanted at all. I'd have to go to the actual thingy, and I don't wanna. I guess I could. There it is. No, it's not this one. I was pretty sure it was still equated to that, but maybe not. I have a really hard time digesting this text. I've tried many, many, many times, and it doesn't seep in at all. Worth reading, though, if you guys are able to digest stuff like this. This takes me a really long time to ingest. Bravery of showing us your search history. I mean, joke's on you. This isn't my primary browser. Thank you for the super. Do you think Nouvelette will die? No. Definitely not. I don't think he'll die. You just see Barbello's name in that Gnostic text? Yeah, like Barbello is like the ultimate god in Gnosticism, I think. Yeah. Barbello refers to the first emanation of God in several forms of Gnostic cosmology, which is why the name Barbelleth as Mona's master is so weird. I'm just saying. Do you think Skirk is a descender? Potentially. Will I be making a video on this? No, I don't have time. We don't have time to make a video on all of this. Like, dude, guys, the thing's out in like 5 days. I still have to do the quest recap video before 4.2 comes out. We don't have time to do like an actual thing. That's why I'm doing this live instead. If everyone is Jesus, that means Senor has a chance to come back from the dead. I mean, yeah. We haven't talked to Farina, and she hasn't said, I don't know where your sister is, so she's not gonna die. I love these little logical fallacies. I like them. They're good. They're good. But no, you're right. I mean, like, she's not gonna die. She's playable. 2 cents on Skirk design being the human version of the narwhal. I feel like that would be I think it's possible that she's the human body of the narwhal, but it would also mean that in that case she would be like a slave to Celestia. I'm not sure I'm convinced on that. So I wonder if she is the same type of thing as the narwhal, but is not the narwhal. Does that make sense? So if let's say she's a butterfly version of the narwhal, because she's got butterfly stuff in her hair, but she still has fins and everything. Let's say she's gonna end up being there's hold on. There's a thing for this, yeah. Oh, sea butterfly is just a Sealy. Well, anyway, not the point. Actually, that's kind of funny. There you go. There's our first Sealy, guys. I the point I was trying to make here is that if the narwhal is a celestial star beast, right, and Child is related to the celestial star beast, like if they're intrinsically linked, I wonder if Skirk also has a celestial star beast that is not a narwhal but is instead something else, like a butterfly, right? And she just mastered all of the control over it, and that's why she took an interest in Child, was because, oh, you're the same type of thing as me, I'll teach you how to control this power, because she's the one who taught him Foul Legacy anyway. It was actually interesting that I just went and said that he was potentially angel coded instead of abyssal coded, and then promptly went to search up sea butterfly for Skirk and got Sealies, which I also call angels. So there's that. That's fun. You mean what if Skirk is a byproduct? No, I don't mean what if Skirk is a byproduct of the Narwhal's constellation. Oh, as you mentioned, Skirk looks like Columbina with her headpiece, and now, as you were showing Sealies of the... I don't think she's like Columbina. I don't think that's quite right. Columbina just has feathers in the back of her hair. Yeah. I mean, it's a little different. These are feathered wings. She's got 6 feathered wings in the back of her head. Whereas Skirk has butterfly wings on one side of her head. I don't think it's on the other side because we'd be able to see them from here. So it's just one side. I don't think those are connected enough for me to say she looks like Columbina. I don't think there's almost any connection there at all. Do you think Fontaine is actually going to be flooded? Yes, I would do, but I don't think it'll last. I think the floodwaters will recede. The thing is if you give Neuvillette full control over his authority over water again, he basically suggested at the end of the last quest that if he had his full authority, he may have been able to do something about the primordial waters, right? He already said that. So the fact that he said that, and the fact that his whole final ascension line suggests that he's going to be getting his full authority, that just says to me that if Fontaine does flood, he'll be able to push the floodwaters back. I don't think she's a Jingliu XP, okay? I really don't. I think Skirk looks way more, like we said earlier, she looks way more like Benares. So if anything, here's Skirk. Oh god, that's so small. It's always so hard to get good higher res things quickly. All right, fine. Here's Benares. Here's Skirk. I think that's much closer than Jingliu. Personal opinion. A palette swap of HSR Seal. I mean, Zila. Sorry. There's too many things that are spelled that way. Zila is also butterfly themed. Also like rebirth themed and all that. So like you've got Rebirth Zila, right? You've got this one too, which is similar. And then you've also got Star Rail Zila. So like you can see all of their little inspirations of what they put into there, but like all of the Zilas are basically butterfly coded. So like having a Benares be butterfly coded and having it be like a pseudo Zila XP kind of thing makes sense to me. But I don't think she's Jingliu. I think she's just got recency bias on the brain for that one. Also Quantum Abyssal theme. Yeah, I mean basically. I think at worst I would see Skirk as being a bit more like both sides of Zila merging almost. It might just be me, but the butterfly hair piece of Skirk has the same exact shape of the narwhal right and left front fin, so I don't really get the butterfly theme. I mean, it's kind of subjective. I see a crystal fly. Mostly. Let's see if we can get a better... I wanted to just love the bait. Yeah, I mean it's similar. It's similar. I don't really want to scroll through here. Well, I guess I don't have to. I'm right here. It is right here. Never mind. I could just do this. So like I guess I could see where it's similar. Oh. I don't know how that showed up on my thing. Probably doesn't. Yeah, it probably doesn't show up. Never mind. I don't have the secondary tab put into thing. Yeah. It's the same color. It's a similar shape. But I still don't know that they're the same thing. I mean, it would be interesting if she was the narwhal. That would be a twist. Because that would kind of imply that Skirk is Child's constellation. I think that would be interesting. I lost my place. There I am. I don't know how realistic that is. Like, sometimes the question isn't, is it possible for this to be this? Sometimes the question is, does Hoyo have the guts to do that kind of thing? Skirk as a Durandal XP? I mean, that's plausible. So the thing about Durandal, or Dudu, as we like to call her, the thing about Durandal is that she actually has a outfit. Yeah, the one I can never remember the name of. That's tied directly to the Nibelungen opera. So that would be interesting to me as a connection there. I'm just saying, connecting her to dragons or whatnot. But that would actually just go to support the idea that she's actually like a bishop, because I'm very much of the opinion that she is not human. But yeah, I don't think Fontaine will become a completely underwater map. I don't think it'll become a completely underwater map either. Skirk related to the Dragon King. I think Skirk is a bishop. Or at least bishop related. Which I guess still would connect her to the narwhal anyway, because the narwhal is likely actually a reference to the Leviathan, which is just the same word used for Leviathan, but it's also used for whale. The outfit text talks about gold too. Yeah, it does. Yeah, Dudu is technically Kiana, and Kiana is connected to Benares. Yeah, that's basically the whole thing of why it's plausible and why it would be interesting, and why I also think she's a bishop. Also, you know, Melazines have those little wings on their back, and they are the babies of a dragon, an abyss dragon, but still a dragon. So, do you see Child's hair become a bit white at the top? Yep, I did. We talked about that already. Who the new character that appears for 2 seconds in the trailer is? That's Skirk. That's who we're talking about. I mean, you're talking about her, right? Like, that's Skirk. Yeah. That's Child's master. Where is Renee? He is supposed to say Fontaine. Yes and no. But he's here. Well, I think he's here. Maybe not Renee, but this thing's weird. So one thing that we're going to get in this trailer, the reason why I'm suggesting that this might be related to Renee and all that, is because we know that he became some sort of watery oceanid monster, and this looks pretty watery oceanid monster like to me. But if you let's see. Where's the... Did I miss the doomsday clock? Where the doomsday clock? Where you go? I don't know. I have no con... Oh, there it is. So this doomsday clock here, this is in the Narcissus and Kreutz Ordo, which suggests that they're going to give us another part to this quest, because this does not happen in any of the existing ones. So we're getting another Narcissus and Kreutz quest, which is awesome. And I think this is connected to it because it would perfectly tie up the whole thing with Anne and Catter and all of them. So as far as I'm concerned, this has to be the monstrosity that Renee created or whatnot. However, but you guys have to keep in mind that the world quests are there not to be tied into the main Archon quest or the main story quests, right? They're there to give context for everything. Like, if you want the full story about how everything came to be, why things are the way they are, the repercussions of the past and history and everything, that's when you do the world quests, right? Because that's you getting to know the world. When you do the Archon quests, you're just progressing the story. But it's not like the two are completely disconnected, but you're not going to see, like, Renee just show up in the Archon quest. Like, that's not going to happen. I'd be very surprised if it did. Because that would mean that people would have to be forced to play the world quests for Archon quest stuff. So, what about Everyone is Dead? Where was that one in here? I forget. Oh, wait, it's when the thing's coming through the... whatchamacallit. Isn't it? Oh, yeah! Did anyone notice that this is Mona talking here? Which means Mona's going to be in Fontaine, and that actually really supports the idea that Mona might be from Fontaine. Or at least she spends a lot of time there. But that would make sense anyway, because the Hexen Circle seem to all be connected to Fontaine in some way. But yeah, this voice...
There's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean.
That's Mona.
The prophecy, yes. What has been prophesized
That's
will
Nicole.
be fulfilled. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning
Do
of
not resist.
justice.
This judgment is fair and just.
What is the meaning you would call?
All right, that's enough of that. Where is the dead? Nouvellette is not happy with these turns of events. There it is. I think
Everyone's
it's hard to tell with the voice crack. I think that's Navia talking. Because of this line that follows. I think this is still Navia. Because the Papa, she's probably asking, you know, her dad beyond the grave. I did see Nicole's name in the description, yeah. Yeah, so that has to be Navia, and it's like it makes the most sense because like at the beginning she says like the floodwaters rose and killed a whole bunch of people. So I mean like this could be Lysandra completely drowning, right? And she was the only one to escape, and maybe she goes to her father's grave or something and asks for help. In JP, it sounds like Farina. I'm pretty sure like, there's no reason why Farina should say Papa. Not unless Nouvellette's actually her dad, and I don't see a scenario where that happens. Even though, like, that's kind of... I won't say it's not a similar sort of dynamic that they have, but I don't think they're blood related. That would be kind of odd, I think. Like, if anything, Farina has a mother. Because, like, when it comes to Oceanids specifically, 99% of the time they're female. And if Farina is even related to Oceanids, then should be female. Yep. Not blood related, but water related. I mean, if you want to go that far, if Nuvalet is all the waters in the world, and then Agaria and Farina and every Lock Knight ever is something made from all the waters of the world, then yeah, he has a lot of daughters, which makes him Poseidon, basically, doesn't it? That would be kind of hysterical. But I don't think that's kind of what Honkai is going for, or Honkai, what Hoyo is going for. Sorry, I was closing this tab and I read at the same time. I don't think Farina says everyone's dead. I think that's Navia. I'm pretty sure that's Navia. Because Farina knows what she's doing. I'm not quite sure why she would have this line. Unless it's a flashback. Which of these lines come for Farina's side quest? Yeah, that's another, or story quest. Yeah, that's another thing. Some of these lines could be coming from Farina's story quest for sure. Like, maybe there was a scenario where she has a nightmare and everyone really does die, and that would be her line. But, like, I think in this context, it makes more sense if it's Navia. I would not be able to tell the difference in the Japanese voices because I don't play the game in Japanese, so I have no familiarity with their voices to be able to distinguish, I can't say. What about Nuvalet saying you deceive? I think he said you're devious. Didn't he? I'm pretty sure he said you're devious.
You are a devious one.
Yeah, devious one. Did Nuvalet say you deceived us? I thought that was an NPC. I thought that was an NPC.
We acknowledge it.
Fusilo, why did you deceive us?
I mean, it kind of sounds like Nuvalet, but I don't... Is it? Is it Ray Chase? I mean, if it is him, then, I mean, it makes sense, because he seems pretty upset about whatever it was that she did. I mean, look at it frickin' rain. Nuvalet only calls her Lady Farina. I mean, yeah, but that's the thing, is there's a separation here that's happening between Focalor and Farina, right? So when that guillotine or that sword comes down for judgment, that's the interesting part where I'm saying, like, Farina and Focalor are being severed, and that's why she ends up with a vision, and therefore becomes the most human of the Archons in that way. Do I think the far side of the Sea of Stars and the whale comes from is just another wording for the primordial sea? No, I think it's actually talking about space. Those are two different voices, and the everyone's dead in Japanese is more, look, this happened in dramatic tone, as if she is showing what she has expected she knows. That's weird. Okay, well, I'll just leave it. I'm not gonna try and take a position on that one then. I have no idea. I honestly would not be able to tell you, regardless. Okay, I've already answered the 3 silhouettes in the Venti manga. If you ask that again, I will honestly time you out for an extremely long period of time. So Stop that. Farina and Foslores aren't the same. She keeps calling herself Foslores to convince everyone about it, herself included. Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of the whole point of, like, the intro of this special program, right? Like, she's sitting here like, a god must not allow any detail to slip through the cracks. She's literally playing a role. Like, that is her job. Her job is to put on a performance and being very consistent. Indilla, yes, Nicole is speaking. She did say the line about the prophecy being fulfilled. You can see her voice line credit in the description box. Why is Nicole called the Reine of the Hexenzirkel? That's her last name. Her name is Nicole Reine of the Hexenzirkel, codenamed N. That's her. Yeah, that's just her last name. Okay. I forgot what tab I had it on. This one. We talked about this earlier already, but this is likely the inspiration for Nicole. Nicole Reine Lepat, I guess? I don't know. I may be French, and my name may be French, but I can't speak French for crap. Any thoughts on the new zones? They look cool. I'm really excited for this one in particular, actually. Oh, actually, no, this one. I like this one. I want the Misty Forest so bad. The Misty Forest looks really cool. Really cool. Do I think the Primordial one or the Sustainer might wake up when New Villette regains his authority? I mean, maybe. It might start, but I kind of doubt it. Layla was a testing ground for Farina double personality. I 100% believe that. I mean, they've got enough similarities in design that I would buy that. I would buy that. Why does Skirk look more like Honkai Universe, not like Genshin? Because the two are connected, and at some point, people are going to have to accept this reality. Whether they get really explicit about the connections or not. Like, at some point, some people are just going to have to accept, like, this is just how it works now. Sad that a swamp-like area might be purified after a quest. Yeah. We'll see. There are 3 trees. Well, 2 trees. 2 trees and something that could become a tree. We'll see. Do you think Sandrone will play a part in the world quest with the Institute? No. Well, hold on. That's misleading. So, I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you do the quests for each region, like the big world quests, usually one of the big world quests is directly related to one of the Fatui that show up in that area that are native to it. So, for example, in Inazuma, the whole Tatarasuna Forge area, like that entire island is basically dedicated to Wanderer, right? In Sumeru, it's less clear, but stuff about Zendik is scattered everywhere. That's obviously Dotori's primary body. It's definitely his primary body. But then, like, a lot of the quests around the area kind of give you context for the Mad Scholars and everything else, how he was exiled, his, you've got the whole quest line with the, like the Elazar underground hospitals and stuff like that, like, all that. So when you get to Fontaine, the only place this doesn't apply is Mondstadt. But that also might not be true. We'll come back to that in a second. But in Fontaine, I personally think Elaine Guillotine is Sandrone. I think he's the big robot, and I think he made a copy of his sister Marianne. And that's the little marionette that he's puppeting, making him the puppeteer and other things. I added that theory into the end of the Arlecchino video that I released recently, if you're interested in listening to the rest of that thought process. But that's why I can't say they don't show up. It's not so much that they don't show up, it's that I don't think they show up in a Fatui form necessarily. I don't think that's what happens. I think you just get to see their history, so they matter, but they never make an appearance. Obviously, this pattern doesn't work all that well for Mondstadt at first glance, because obviously Senora doesn't have any lore anywhere in Mondstadt, but Mondstadt is an anomaly by a lot of things, and I actually think currently that the most likely identity for Capitano, despite the fact that everyone seems to think that I really believe that he's Menogius, I actually think the most realistic route for Capitano is in Mondstadt. And I actually think he would be very interesting as Emunlocker, who was a knight that was in Dragonspine, which would mean Dragonspine is entirely about him, which would fit the pattern. But do you think all of the characters that in Snezhnaya will be from the Fatui? No, I don't. I don't. They said that in the end of the Narcissistic Voice Quest, there's a surprise and the climax will be released in 4.2. That would be really cool. What happened to Dottore equals Renee? You did not watch the video, I can tell. To clarify on the Dottore equals Renee thing, I said multiple times in the video that Dottore is Zandique, but that he found Renee's notes and could have finished the research that Renee started into creating a liquid mind in a robot body, which could also mean that he could have absorbed parts of Renee, which does not necessarily make him Renee. It just means that he has parts of Renee in him, that he can absorb different people and different perspectives. And there's so many people out there who say, well, he's not Renee, he's definitely Zandique. Like, yeah, I know, I said that. It's in the video like 4 times. It's not my fault you didn't listen. But I'm actually pretty confident about that idea. Not necessarily that he absorbed Renee, but that he finished Renee's research, if only because I'm very convinced that Sandrone is also Elaine Guillotine. And I also just put out the theory that Arlecchino might be Lyris, who was the Ocean and Orphanage director of the Narcissenkreuz Institute. And since Dottore seems to be someone who can recruit other Fatui members, take a look at Wanderer, for example, I think it's realistic to assume that he was in Fontaine looking for something, stumbled across the stuff for the Narcissenkreuz Institute, and maybe found what was left of Lyris, and maybe met Elaine Guillotine and was able to bring both of them on board and complete Renee's research at the same time. I think that's still realistic. I think that's still a possibility, which would explain a lot of his French influences. Also, I kind of think it's funny that characters are apparently not allowed to have multiple identities or inspirations. I think that's an interesting stance that the fandom at large has taken. But I don't know. Corey Yuri, thank you for the super. Do we think we'll see Child experience a constellation expansion like Big Dipper to Ursa Major piece to a whole? That would be cool. I would like to see his constellation shift a bit, but I feel like if they did that, they would have to change his playability. Like, they would have to change his skill set or something. And I'm not convinced that they'll do that without just releasing a whole nother version of Child. Or, like, a child that you can summon, and if you have a child, it becomes like a skin that replaces his skills or something. I feel like that would be quite complicated. I don't know that they'll do that, which is one reason why I'm not sure it'll happen. I would love for it to happen, but I'm not sure how realistic it is at this point. But, yeah. Don Hung again. I don't think it's Don Hung again. Star Rail and Genshin are two very, very different games. Genshin is very explicitly trying not to do multiple variants of the same character. Whereas Star Rail has basically set them up so that they can make as many variations of as many characters as they want to from the start. So I think that's just two very different games and very different mindsets of the developers who are working on them. Did I already go over the new character? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I'll be finishing up here soon because I have a couple more things to do in town before I come back and then join up the most chaotic Genshin trading card tournament. Because that's going to be a thing, apparently. And I haven't played the TCG game since like the month it released, and I have like no cards, so I have to use a borrowed account. It's gonna be weird and chaotic, and not really playing for skill. So even if you don't play TCG, this should still be a lot of fun. Can someone tell me if Farina can walk on water infinitely? The way I understood it, she can walk on water while her skill is active, and I think her skill cooldowns could or could not allow for that. It depends. Like if her skill cooldown is shorter than her skill duration, then I would assume that so long as you keep casting her skill whenever it comes off cooldown, then she could potentially stay on water indefinitely. You haven't been able to comment, but you wanted me to know that this whole stream you cooked bolognese pasta for the first time, and you truly believe that my stream is what made them so good. I'm glad to be your favorite type of pasta sauce, I guess. Thanks. You're not really sure what Navia's role in the quest would be, but do you think she doesn't die and then ends up playing a bigger role in the quest? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think most people are gonna be dissolved at some point. But maybe folks with visions are special. Maybe they can't be dissolved. I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns that I would just be spitballing at this point. Like I have zero basis for any of them. Just this is a possibility. Looking at Tottori, he seems the kind of guy who could solve Fontaine's crisis single-handedly. I mean, maybe if it interested him. Like, right? Because he's the type of character that's like, if it doesn't interest me, I don't care. Was that Skirk at the end of the trailer? Yes, yes it was. I don't think the Traveler saved her last second because they show the Traveler reaching for her, missing, and then Navia continuing to fall. So somebody else either has to save Navia or she falls into the water. What's your theory on Arlecchino and the new Archon quest? I don't know. I actually have zero idea. I don't know where she could fit in, right? Because like it seems like Farina and Focalor and Igaria kind of had everything all planned out. Nuvolette has his role. Child has an incidental role. Arlecchino doesn't seem to be doing anything about Child because Skirk shows up. So I don't really know what she's doing, frankly. Maybe she'll be part of the evacuation efforts. Maybe she'll be trying to actually save people. And maybe that foils Farina's plans somehow because Farina has to make the prophecy happen in order for it to end. And maybe that's how Arlecchino becomes a villain. I don't know. That's honestly, that would be my best guess right now. I have zero idea. Which is actually kind of cool. I kind of like that I don't have any idea what's going to happen with that. Do I still think more Fatui Harbingers will be making an appearance in Fontaine if they don't in 4.2? Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see at least 1 or 2 more Harbingers in Chapter 4. Maybe not in the Archon quest, but in Chapter 4. I think that'll be a thing. Is this we know this is the finale of the Fontaine Archon quest. Yeah, this is part 5. We know this is the end. It's called Masquerade of the Guilty. That's its name in Travail, so this is the final one. For the first time that the weekly boss in the Archon quest is non-Fatui. I mean, no. Because it's child, right? So it's still kind of Fatui. Do we think Risley's art comes into play in the next quest? Yeah, probably. I would assume that's part of the evacuation efforts, right? If there are any. Skirk and the Sustainer have the same type of eyes with a line through pupil. Yep, they do. How much do you think Zhongli knows about Irminsul? Because at the end of his first story quest, he tells us that we are a descender about the god of salt to make sure someone doesn't forget. He calls us a witness, I think. I think he knows way more than he lets on. In for the record, like, Mondstadt and Liyue have very unfinished roles in the overall story, in my opinion. Mondstadt especially, but Liyue too. I think there's a definite chance in the near future, maybe in Chapter 4 or at the latest Chapter 5, that we start going back to Mondstadt and Liyue getting expansion packs and getting more, I don't want to say, like, more information. That's not quite what I mean. I just feel like their roles will become more prominent. Because right now, Sumeru and Fontaine feel like the most important locations that we've been to, full stop, in the game so far. But I think that'll balance out over time. And I think they'll bring us back to both Liyue and Mondstadt. They have a lot of ability now to let us go underwater and underground for caves and underwater exploration areas now. So being able to expand, you know, Liyue's cave system, for example, that would be incredible. Not just the chasm, but like a lot of Liyue. I feel like you'd be able to get a lot of information out of that. And I think in Mondstadt, like, there's whole areas, there's space along the side where you could have like whole expansion areas too. And there you could go beneath Cider Lake, right? We could swim beneath Cider Lake. That would be very interesting. I think there's still a lot of potential there. Still missing Dormant Port. Yeah, like that kind of stuff. We're still missing Chenyu Vale and Liyue, that kind of thing, yeah. Because there was a lot of newness to the game when we first started in those two countries, and now that we're less in the happy fantasy land and more in the, oh, what is going on? Going back to them should be fun. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think Old Mondstadt. Obviously, we still need Venti's second story quest, please. That would be great. Yeah, the Dandelion Sea, Dornman Port, Chenyu Vale. I was about to mention another place in his Worth Alert. Yeah, I think that's the port in Chenyu Vale. Pretty sure. Golden Apple Archipelago, technically part of Mondstadt. It's a border area. It's technically part of Inazuma too. What do I think of Skirk's design? I think it's a good design. I'm just not the target audience for it. Yeah. Have I mentioned Deshret yet? Well, now I have. Now I have. No, I don't have any Deshret comments right now. I don't have any Deshret comments right now. I will say this though. Something that you guys should read if you haven't, is the lore for the Fontaine glider wings. If you are not at a high enough reputation rank to get them and read them yourself, go on the wiki, take a look at them. It talks about Fontaine's very early history leading up through Remuria and gives us some very interesting context for the timeline. To the point where you can basically split the timeline into 4 distinct sections almost. You have the first section, which is the era of the dragons. Then you have the War of the Primordial One, followed by the era of the God Kings, followed by the Archon War, which is followed by the era of the Archons, which we're currently in. I guess that's technically 5. I wasn't really going to count the wars as 2 separate things, because like the era of the gods, the era of the God Kings and the era of the Archons are like, is the Archon War, kind of, technically. So, I mean, that would only make it 3, though. So it's like 3 to 5, which makes it 4. Leave me alone. Is it about Agaria's origins? I mean, yeah. Like, she was created by the Shade of Life to replace the Hydro Dragon. Is basically what it says. Is there any important lore in the new Paid Wings? I don't know. I haven't actually read them. That's a good question. I should do that. I forgot about them. What do I think about the Jing Liu? Stop saying she looks like Jing Liu. She doesn't look like Jing Liu. It's just recency bias. You guys have the ability to scroll back in time if you want to know if I've talked about something. Obviously, the talking about the brand new character is always going to be the first thing we do. She does not look like Jing Liu. I really think it's just recency bias, guys. Really think she's just recency bias. No. I'm telling you, it's recency bias. Once you see her full model, which I also have not, but I'm pretty sure once you see her full model, she won't look like Jing Liu. The only reason anyone's saying she looks like Jing Liu is because she has reddish eyes and whitish hair, and I think her hair is actually light purple. But I don't think anything else about her is going to be very Jing Liu-like. And I really hope not, because I really butchered her Jing Liu's character, and if they butcher Skirk, I'm going to be incredibly sad. Yes, I've talked about Child's Constellation in the boss fight. Nitya says, also been thinking about your everyone is a Hydro Eidolon theory, and I think it holds some water, pun intended. But would a person born within Fontaine count as one, or just a pure race because... okay, I see what you mean. Like, if someone is born within the borders of Fontaine, are they considered to be from Fontaine? I don't know. I don't think so. Like I said in that video, I get frustrated by the biology of thinking about it. The biology of it drives me nuts. No, listen. Just to clarify one thing, though. I used Kave's mother as an example because Kave's mother remarried a man from Fontaine. But Kave is not a child of that union. Kave is from Sumeru. His father was from Sumeru. His father died and his mother remarried afterwards. I just want to make that clear. I was never talking about Kave. I was talking about any potential new siblings that Kave could get from his mother's remarriage. Just to be clear. Kave's potential step siblings are like little eldritch water creatures. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. If the Whale in Prophecy is from Celestia, why did Nouvelette apologize for overruling it? Shouldn't he be against Celestia? Well, because Nouvelette's trying to protect the people. The sentence for them is too severe. But, I mean, it's complicated, and a lot of it's theory land, and I can't, like, say with certainty what will happen, or what it means, or what he means by it. But the way I take it is that the primordial waters used to be something that was under the jurisdiction of the dragons. And these primordial powers were things that were seized by the primordial one during the War of the Dragons. Okay, this is my theory. And because of that, I think Neuvillette feels a lot of sympathy for the primordial waters, but he's developed an attachment to the humans that are in Fontaine as well. And that's why I think it's complicated. However, I can't confirm any of that until this patch comes out. That's just how I see it. About the Eidolon biology, maybe could be like gathering a function of viruses. You mess with them the right way, they learn how to do what you want. I mean, yeah, kind of. Potentially. Why are Fontainians specifically so worried about flooding while no one else is? They're on a plateau. Because it's magic water. And also normal people don't dissolve in said water. What did that achievement say? Hilichurl's Guide? I didn't see. I wasn't looking. We can see. Hold on. Where was the achievement? I don't know how much of a delay this is on. I have no idea how much of a delay this is on. I'll just wait for it. Popped up when it switched phases. Oh, so when it swallows us. Okay, hold up. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, not Hilichurl. That's a very explicit reference. Unpopular opinion, but Genshin Mobile needs to be separated from console PC. I don't know why. So I can't argue or agree. 42, yeah, exactly. Did you notice connections of each region to their tree? I never heard anything about this. Yeah, I mean, that's usually what we focus on when we go there. Like, Ajdaha is the tree of Liyue. A planted the tree in Inazuma. Sumeru's divine tree is, like, its whole city. Mondstadt's tree is the place where Vanessa supposedly ascended to Celestia. You know. How do you think the Fatui will get the Gnosis this time? I think it'll just be handed to them. If they get it at all, really. So happy Farina is confirming slime theory and chess theory. Yeah, I mean, she's helping. Well, is she? I mean, I guess so. I mean, well, kind of. I guess she sits on a bubble. Yeah, I guess she sits on a bubble. I guess that counts. She does have a lot to do with bubbles. Let's actually, I should just let this play. It'll show you. Like, her little friends go in bubbles. Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. What is slime theory? Slime theory is the theory that every Archon's kit matches the elemental slime of their type. So, for example, Venti's kit is his skill lets him fly up into the sky. If you hold it, right? Creates a wind current, goes up. Animo slimes create a wind current and go up. And then they shoot you with wind arrows. Or wind pulses. And then dendro slimes create little baby dendro slimes, and that's kind of what happened with Nahida. Like, a big Archon created little baby Archon. The electro slimes come in 2 flavors, yellow and purple, so for a positive and negative charge, and then the electro Archons were twins. Geo Archon has a meteor on its burst. Geo Slime shoots a meteor, also has a shield. Only has a shield. Hydro Slime shoots bubbles. Farina's bubble motifs. You know, it's kind of like it's not like a super refined theory, but it's fun. But you can kind of look at the like the next two slimes and be like, oh, so Pyro Archon will self-destruct because Pyro slimes blow up when they die. Which is another reason why everyone thinks that the Hydro Archon will be based on Himiko Murata's because she from Honkai Impact because she fire explosion of death. And the Cryo Archon has a kit kind of similar to the Geo Archon, which will be interesting if she's a shielder. I think shielding on an ice character is one of the most useless things, though. I gotta say, like, I love Layla, but her kit is not helpful. Imagine Pyro Archon is just upgraded Clee. That would be funny. Pyro Archon may be a flamethrower. I mean, yeah, it could be. You could have bullets. Pyro bullets. Would MiHoYo make a joke as dark as Himiko that explodes? Yeah, I think they would. I totally think they would. I am very excited about this marshland area, but yeah, I don't know that it will stay this way. Maybe it will. Hold on. Oh, it's just a bubble. I just think that's cool that the tree turns blue when you look at it through the bubble. That's kind of cool. I don't know that it matters all that much, though. Winds blowing in the Court of Fontaine from the east are perfumed with a mysterious sweet scent. The depths of Araneus Forest, where few dare to tread, the seed of adventure has been planted by the lakeside beneath the weeping willows. Who knows how long the story guarded within the tall tower in the sea. Okay. This is the lake light and foggy forest, the terrestrial sea, and the fathomless tower. Is that its name? The fathomless tower? Because we can't fathom what's inside? This is such a weird thing. I like it. I can't wait to mess with it. This must be from Farina's story quest then, right? Because of the way she's standing. Don't you think this scene would be from her story quest in this area? Or do you think they're just, like, using her for flavor shots? I feel like the other thing, not this place, the other one. I see new materials to collect. Where is her ponytail in that shot? Her hair disappears between her two forms. So in her Numa form, she has long hair and white suit coat underneath her jacket. And then in her Osea form, she has a black suit coat and shorts and short hair. I think that's kind of cool, though, because you can easily tell at a glance what form she's in. Oh. You clicked on Twitter for like a second and a character from this was spoiled for you? Yeah, listen, I have basically given up on Twitter. In general, I've kind of given up on short form content, though. Consuming and creating. I have opinions about short form content that I'll leave for another discussion entirely. Recent reanalysis shows that Murata is likely a mistranslation, that the Chinese characters actually say Mu Natlan people, which is why they were from the place. It doesn't matter whether it's a mistranslation or not, because it's still a pun and it's hilarious. Regardless. Ugh. Do we think we'll get another Sumeru Archon quest? I don't think the last quest was not being called Truth Amongst the Pages Piranha was coincidence. I think it was translated into something different, but I think the original Chinese text was closer. I can't remember. But I think it was a closer translation. So I think the Archon quest there is done until we go back for other stuff. A human-shaped monster formed from the agglomeration of countless drops of water. That sounds like Renee to me. 500 years old, looking pretty good. Well, 400. This looks like a fun boss. Have I read the talking stick weapon lore? Yes, but I have a hard time learning about two nations at once, so I haven't really dug into it much. But if you're interested in the lore inside of the talking stick, a creator named Whale Milk did a deep dive into it, and he dug up a lot of really cool stuff. So I highly recommend you check out that video. He released it a while back. It's very good. I love these scenes. These are so cool. And then we're down to events. Okay. I think that's everything I have, really. I've touched on all the key points I kind of wanted to. I think I have made all of the predictions that I have that I'm willing to make. Everything else is going to be just baseless speculation. I'm kind of sad about one thing, and that's that I feel like Charlotte's going to get completely forgotten and overshadowed. Just because I think everyone's going to be talking about Farina, and I feel like even I wanted to see where this was. Hold on. Where is this location? Is this this isn't the Opera House. This must be Maripede. Huh. Well, that's an interesting shot to freeze on. I wanted to see if we could figure out where this was, but it's too dusty. Guess not. What did I think of the poetry event? I thought it was boring as hell. I thought it was boring as hell until the last, like, 20 minutes. I don't think it's an event that translates to a Western audience well. But I also could just not be the target demographic for it. It's hard to say. Oh, is it Poisson? If it is Poisson, that would make that line about everyone being dead more likely to be Navia's than Farina's, but who knows? It was good in Chinese, I promise. No, I believe you. I don't think it translated well to the Western localization. I just didn't find the gameplay very engaging. Like, it had some good moments to it. I thought the poetry event had a lot of good moments. The Paimon going glug 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 is now iconic. I love that Xingqiu got, like, totally played on. And I thought there were some really cute things about it. I just thought that, like, overall it was kind of forgettable. So yeah, if I had to pick binary, if I liked it or didn't like it, I'd probably say I didn't really like it that much. But wish Zhongli and Venti had more meaningful interaction. I think it's a combination of things like that. Like it feels like it didn't quite how to put it. Feels like they didn't quite utilize everyone to their ultimate potential. It felt very, very superficial. How's that? It was neat that they split us up, though. I did like that. I like that they're doing that a little bit more. I wish they did it a bit more often than they do. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that's all I have to say. Congley's cameo was odd. Yeah. But actually, you know, on that topic, you know how he was supposed to be a judge for that event? I thought that was interesting given that it came out during Fontaine with that whole thing that we were talking about earlier with the Leviathan and the Behemoth. Since Morax is a bull and so is the Behemoth. So like I thought that part was interesting. And I did like that they completed the story of Finch and Calaroy. Like that was cool. That was cool. But yeah, I feel like these events recently haven't felt as, I don't know, well-rounded as others have in the past. But maybe that's because a lot of them lack mystery. Like I feel like a lot of the more recent ones have been very obvious in what they are, but their application to the greater plot hasn't felt that obvious or impactful when you're playing through them. So maybe that's why they don't feel as interesting. Like for example, Golden Apple Archipelago felt, the second one, not the first one, felt interesting because you had very unique settings for each character that was there. And you understood that each character's arena was all about them in a deep dive. And you kind of got the whole dream aspect of going into Sumeru. So like there was more mystery and it felt more like it mattered. And then you go to Bottle Land and it doesn't feel like any of it matters. And you can tell right away that the main mystery is like, oh, this is an Oceanid in a bottle, obviously. Right? Like it felt everything was really obvious. And then the immediate application of how that applied to Fontaine didn't feel as explicit, I guess. It didn't feel as connected, so it kind of makes the experience a little bit more watered down. I think that's the thing, because like when it comes to allegorical storytelling, there's kind of two ways to do it. There's the way where you can only understand how it applied in retrospect, and there's the way where you can understand how it will apply, but you don't quite understand how that application works. I think Golden Apple Archipelago was the second one where you understood immediately, like, oh, this is what we're going to get into in Sumeru. This is all about illusions and dreams and all of that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking about like the nature of reality and the Fatui. Like we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was really cool, but it wasn't immediately apparent like how that tied into the plot. I thought that was cool. Whereas I think in Bottle Land, it basically told us what the plot was going to be, but it didn't really feel like it was foreshadowing at the same time. Like looking back on it now, you're just like, oh, okay, I see what they were doing. They were saying like, you know, you've got this one person and she's got all these Eidolons and all that kind of stuff. So, well, assuming that the Eidolon theory is true anyway, we'll find out in like a week, 5 days, less than a week. I'm pretty convinced of it at this point, but we'll see. The evidence is stacking up in my favor. Yeah, it's two different types of foreshadowing, I guess. And I feel like the newer types of foreshadowing I don't like as much. I feel like they tell us too much, but it's also not obvious that what it is that they're trying to tell us until way later, and so you just feel disconnected. But maybe that's just me. Combination of the big people complaining about big lore locked behind events and also Fontaine still being in the midst of its big plot. I mean, possibly, yeah. Any thoughts on Star Rail's live stream? Honestly, I haven't watched it. I haven't opened Star Rail in a while, actually. I got kind of maybe disillusioned is a good word to use here. I don't know. I there's parts of Star Rail I like, but there's parts of like on paper that should be a game that's ideal for me. It's a setting that I really like. It's got interesting characters. It's got a lot of in-depth like stuff to explore. But I have such a hard time getting motivated to do anything in the story that I just haven't. I didn't play. I played Jing Liu's story quest and then or companion mission, sorry. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be done for a while. And then I took a break. I didn't log in until the new patch dropped. And then I was like, oh, I'll log in for a little bit. And I threw a couple summons at Topaz's banner and got both her and Gwenithan. And then I looked at them in my account and I'm just like, I have to build you now. And I turned the game off and I haven't been back in since. So I don't know. I probably won't play it. I probably, yeah. I might just not be the target audience for Star Rail, and that's okay, I think. Frankly, I think it's fine. There was a Kaveh Eidolon in Bottleland, the one on the building, since she said the I don't think she created a Kaveh Eidolon. I think he was just someone who visited, did some work, and then left. But I don't think he had an Eidolon that was left behind. I don't think that was the same. But how long have I been playing Honkai Impact Third for? I played for maybe 6 months, like 3 years ago or so, and then I quit. But it wasn't because I didn't like the story or anything. I just wasn't a fan of the gameplay and all that. I didn't like actually physically playing it. So I quit, and now I just watch other people play. So you're just gonna say that the title of Moby Dick over here is Visitor from the Far Side of the Sea of Stars. Is it? I want to look that up now. I'm gonna look that up. Oh, I should actually type in Moby Dick, huh? Whoops. In what language? I don't know. I don't see it, but maybe. Is Nuvalet mad at Farina for getting Fontaine flooded, and Farina has a master plan for saving and removing the sin from Fontaine people, but doing something? Probably. When will stream end? I want to sleep, but I also want to watch the stream, like, in a couple of minutes, actually, because I gotta go. I gotta go, because I gotta be back here by 4. So anyway, I guess we'll call it there, unless there are any more pressing questions. Because I think I've said basically everything I want to say, and if I sit here, I'm just gonna be like rehashing the same things over and over again. And let's not do that. Let's not do that. But Charlotte opinion. I'm excited for Charlotte. I'm weirdly excited for Charlotte. I'm very sad she's getting a bit overshadowed by Farina, because as a cryo healer that has a Nahida-like skill, I think she actually has some really cool applications. So will I stream my Farina pulls? Probably, yeah. I think so. Yeah. Since Mona is here, do you think Yenfei will appear in a later story quest of Fontaine? I think she might appear in a later Fontaine event. I think that would make sense. I think it'd be really cool if both Pookie and Yanfei showed up in Fontaine for legal stuff. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. Anyway. I have pre-farmed for both Farina and Charlotte. Although I'm sure there are mats that I can't get for some of them. So when I pull for them, understand that I will be building both of them. I'm very excited about both of them, actually. So yeah, anyway, thanks for coming, guys. I hope you guys are really excited. It seems like everyone's really excited. I think they're going to be able to pull off something really cool. I know a lot of people were really worried about Farina's role and that she just wasn't going to be someone who did anything and that Nouvelette was taking all of the spotlight. But I kind of think, like, that's the point, you know? Like, remember this whole thing opened with Linny and magicians and misdirection and the theater and the stage, and everything is kind of an illusion, but it's fabricated and planned, even though it looks like things may not be interesting when you start up. So I think that's going to be really cool to see Farina's and Agaria's plan kind of come to fruition at the end. So yeah, well, thanks guys for stopping by. I can't wait for this. We don't have long to wait either. We've only got like 5 days. So hopefully I'll have the 4.1 recap done by maintenance for 4.2. So you guys will be able to catch up on everything that happened in 4.1, get a good refresher going into 4.2, and be ready for all these new quests. So I think I'm gonna go, and I'll see you guys next time. Or I'll see you in the TCG tournament, which is on Rin Taicho's channel. Not her channel. Twitch. It's on her Twitch. Yeah. You should come watch the chaos over there. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye.